ለመማር ወደ ትምህርት ተቋም መሄድ ግድ አይደለም። ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ
ራሳችሁን ከኮሮና ቫይረስ ወረርሽኝ እየጠበቃችሁ በቤታችሁ ወይም በተመቻችሁ ቦታ በኢንተርኔት አማካኝነት በኦንላይን ትምህርታችሁን መከታተል ትችላላችሁ።
ካናዳ ከሚገኘው ኢንተርናሽናል ኤር ትራንስፖርት አሶሲዬሽን አያታና ከእንግሊዙ ኢንስቲትዩት ኦፍ ኮመርሻል ማኔጅመንት ICM ጋር በመተባበር የሚሰጡ ትምህርቶችን ተከታትላችሁ በ6 ወር ጊዜ በዓለም አቀፍ ደረጃ ተቀባይነት ያለውን የስልጠና ማስረጃ ባለቤት መሆን ይቻላል።
ልምድ ባላቸው መምህራን እየተማራችሁ ጥያቄና መልስ የክፍል ስራዎች ፈተና መፈተን ክፍል ውስጥ እንዳላችሁት አይነት በኦንላይን ባላችሁበት ቦታ ከናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ
የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ
Hello, am I audible? All right. So today we are going to start the 4th chapter. All right. Under this chapter, we are going to see trade policy effects with perfectly competitive market. So it is the continuation of the previous one. So under this chapter, we are going to see basic assumption of the partial equilibrium model. So what partial equilibrium and what the basic assumptions that we are going to see will be seen under this chapter. The second one is just, we have to just show a free trade equilibrium in large and small country cases. Okay, what large country mean, what small country mean are going to be okay, seen. And the third point is the welfare effect of trade policies, okay, under partial equilibrium will be seen. The other point is important tariffs, large country price effects, okay. The import tariff effects will be seen. And then large country welfare import tariff effect will be seen also. The optimal tariff will be covered also. The other one is import tariff and small country price effect, and other will be covered under our today's topic. So accordingly, okay, let's see the first point, the trade policy effects in okay perfectly competitive markets. Okay, under perfectly competitive market, we are going to see the effect of price analysis, welfare effect of okay the welfare effect the trade policies under the assumption that markets are just perfectly competitive. So the effects vary, okay, significantly depending on the size of the country and international market. Okay, this distinction is made by analyzing policy effects under okay both large and small country. When we say large and both a small country means the size of the trade, they are just contributing to the international market. Okay, so those who are just largely contributing or just participating in an international market. Now, when we say small, okay, those countries who are just contributing insignificant okay amount or size that have just played in an international market. So the two okay different okay points under partial equilibrium will be seen. So first, under just 4.1, there are assumption of the partial equilibrium model. Okay, before we are directly going into just involved in equilibrium model, we are going to see the assumptions. There are assumptions. Okay, these assumptions are 5. Then to start from the first one, assume there are 2 countries. Okay, we are going to take only 2 countries like US and Mexico. The analysis just generalized by assuming one of the countries in the rest of the world. Okay, just they are the representative of the rest of the world. So let us use US and Mexico as an example in our example assumptions. So the second point is each country has producer and consumer of a tradable good, okay, wheat. Okay, for the time being, we are going to just choose the wheat, okay, the wheat, because both countries can just afford equally this tradable item. So for our example, to simplify our example, we prefer wheat. The analysis can generalize by considering broad, okay, classes of just products like manufacturing goods or services. Okay, for a time being, we are going to use wheat. So this assumption, just take into consideration, this assumption include, okay, manufacturing goods as well as services. Okay, because just wheat is homogeneous. Okay, for Mexico as well as for US. Okay, so we can just use it as perfectly substitute comparatively. Okay, the wheat in Mexico can substitute, okay, just perfectly the wheat which exists in US market. The other point is the markets are just perfectly competitive. Okay, just assume that in this, okay, context, markets are perfectly competitive. The other point is we assume that the two countries are initially just in freely competitive market. Okay, initially trading freely. Okay, one country implements a trade policy and there is no response or retaliation by the other countries. Okay, so it is just trading freely in both countries. So now, partial equilibrium analysis, okay? So what does it mean? Partial equilibrium analysis means that the effects of policy actions are just examined only in the market, which are directly affect supply and demand curve are used to direct the price effects of the policies, okay? Then producer and consumer surplus is just used to just measure the welfare effects on participants in the market. So a partial equilibrium analysis either ignores effects in other industries in the economy or assumes that the sector in question is very, very small and therefore has little, if any, impact on either sectors of the economy. So partial equilibrium analysis means that the effect of policy actions are examined only in the market, okay? Just in the free market. Free market can determine it, okay? Which are directly affected by a free market. So large versus small country assumptions. What does it mean, okay? The cases are just considered regarding the size of the policy setting, okay? Country in international markets. Okay, so the country is large. We can say large in international markets. Then the country's importers or exporters are significant share in the world market. Okay, their share is very significant. They can just impact, okay, the international market. What they are just doing, forming a policy or just creating a tariff, a tax, or whatever actions they are just made can impact an international market. Okay, that is large. When we say large, it is their contribution size. Okay, their market size. Whenever a country is large in an international market, domestic trade policies can affect the world price of the good. Even the domestic price they set can affect the international market. This occurs if the domestic trade policy affects, okay, supply or demand on the world market sufficiently to change the world price of the product. When we say small, okay, when we say small, if the country is just small in international markets, then the policy setting country has a very small share in the world market. Okay, this is also their contribution. Okay, a very small share of the world market. That is it for the product. Okay, so small that domestic policies are unable to affect. Okay, whatever policies they have, okay, be it tariff, tax, or whatever, okay, they cannot impact the world markets because they are small. Their contribution is small. Okay, their supply is small, as well as their demand is very insignificant and small. Okay, so the small country assumption is analogous, okay, to the assumption of perfect competition in domestic goods market. Okay, so domestic firms and consumers must take international price as given because they are too small to their action to affect the price. Now let's see, okay, the depicting a free trade equilibrium in large countries. Okay, just let us show free trade equilibrium in the case of, okay, just large country. So let's see this diagram. Okay, this diagram indicates that the demand and supply of US, okay, the United States. Okay, so as you see that this is the supplies of United States as well as the demands of United States. Okay, this is the price of, okay, autarky of US. Okay, so where the demand and supply are equal. Okay, so at this price, okay, the demand within US, within the country, okay, is just equal with a supply. Okay, the producer's supply as well as the consumer's demand are just becoming, okay, equal. That means, okay, the consumers are satisfied for what they are just wanting, as well as the producers are all just satisfied. So this is the equilibrium, okay, in large countries case. So from the diagram that the supply, as I have already said, that the demand and the wheat of US in market, okay, the supply curve represents the quantity of wheat that the US producers are willing to just supply. The demand curve represents the demand by US consumers. Okay, the intersection of the demand and supply corresponds to the equilibrium autarky. Okay, that means this autarky indicates that, okay, the, you know, the self-sufficiency or within the local jurisdiction, okay, the amount of supply and the amount of demand are equal and sufficient within the country, okay, within the country's trade, or it indicates that self-sufficiency within the law of the land or the jurisdiction of the land. This price and quantity in the US price is just only price that will balance domestic supply and the domestic demand for the wheat. So the curves are drawn such that the US so the next graph shows that the supply and the demand of wheat in Mexican markets. Okay, we can see that in this Mexican market. Okay, so look at it. It is just so here the Mexican. This is the supply. Okay. From the Mexican side, and this is the demand from the Mexican side. Okay, so the intersection between demand and supply here, it is an autarky equilibrium. The satisfaction within the country. This is the price of the autarky within the country. Domestically, what they are just using or doing.
Show us a slide.
So here, the quantity of the wheat that the Mexican produce will just willing to supply. The demand curve represents a demand by Mexican consumers, and the intersection is that the equilibrium autarky prices, as I wrote the local prices, PUT at Mexicans. All right. So the curve are just drawn such as the US autarky price is lower than the Mexican autarky price. The price are just indicated under this scenario or situation is just the price of the Mexicans are very low. So here, this implies that yes. Ashanafi, go ahead. Hello. You raise your hand. Go ahead, please speak. Hello. All right. So you okay? Are you not hearing me?
We are hearing you, but the slide is still in the US.
Hello. Please unmute yourself. Please speak. I'm just listening. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. I'm not hearing you. Hello. Hello. You are hearing. Okay. So, shall we go on? Yes. Am I continuing? Am I? Shall I proceed? Please react.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. Just mute yourself. I'm just hearing honking a horn. So just close your car's window so it disturbs others. Okay. All right. Let's proceed. The U.S. world exports. Okay. The U.S. world export wheat to Mexico. Okay. Once trade is opened, okay, the higher the Mexican price will just induce profit-seeking U.S. farmers to sell their wheat in Mexico, where.
Doctor.
Yes, sir.
Can you share us the slide? It is not here. Not
Really?
displayed.
Okay, wait for a moment. Wait.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry, just wait me for a moment. Is it visible?
Yes, it is okay now.
All right. Okay, let's proceed. So I was around here. Okay, this is the demand and supply of US. Okay, I have already said something over here. Okay, it is just to keep the equilibrium market at autarky level. Autarky means at domestic level. All right. So for self-sufficiency. The other one is here. Okay, here is the demand and the supply of Mexicans. Okay, so just this is the equilibrium of autarky price of Mexicans. Okay, here is a point. The curves are drawn such that the US autarky price is lower than the Mexican autarky price. Okay, from the diagram, what we have already seen. Okay, their autarky price or equilibrium is just different because the US autarky is lower. Okay, that indicates that the price is cheaper in US. This implies that if these two countries are to move, okay, from autarky to free trade, okay, from just local demand and local supply, just if they agree to just start a free trade between two countries, okay, then the US would export wheat to Mexico. Once the trade is opened, okay, the higher the Mexican price will induce profit-seeking US firms to sell their wheat in Mexico, where the command a higher price initially. As wheat flows to Mexico, the total supply of wheat rises, which will just cause the price to fall. In the United States market, wheat supply falls because the US exports. Then the reduced supply raises the equilibrium prices in the US. On the other side, this price moves together as the US export rises until the prices are just equalized, okay, between the two markets. The free trade price of wheat, okay, at PFT, P free trade, okay, is shared by both countries, okay. So just note that the price above the autarky price in the US, here is excess supply of wheat, that is, supply exceeds demand. If we just consider price either at or above the autarky price, we can just drive an export supply curve for the US. The equation for the export supply is given that, look, export supply of US, okay, times price of US, this is the function, is equal to, okay, supply of US times price of US minus demand of US, okay, Q of US or price at US at equilibrium. Okay, so from this, what we can just arrive at is that the export amount is the excess of the demand within the US. All right, so this is an explanation of the function of this mathematical equation. So the point is here, okay, look at it. Graphically, export supply is the horizontal difference between the supply and the demand curve at every price, at and above the autarky price, okay, as shown in the adjoining figure or the side figure, okay, as the autarky price at autarky of US exports supply is just 0. As price P in blue, P in red, and P in pink or purple, export supply is just given by the length of the colored line segments. To plot the export supply, okay, curve, export supply of US, we transfer each line segments to the separate graph and connect the points as shown in the figure as a side, okay? So the export supply curve gives the quantity the US would be willing to export if it just faced, okay, price above its autarky. Now let's see the diagram, all right? So from this point now, you can just easily understand that, okay? So let's see it. Here, this graph, the first graph is just the demand in US, okay, and the supply in US. So the demand and supply in US is just equal, okay, or at this equilibrium place, okay. So here is the autarky prices, okay, the local prices around here. Okay, but above here, look at it. The price increases to this end. Okay, then the demand, the supply also increases to this end. Okay, here is the difference. There is also, as the price increases, okay, to just P2, and the difference between supply and the demand looks like here. Okay, so it becomes here as the price just increased. Okay, so then let's take this to this. Okay, this is the amount of supply that the US is just exporting. Okay, at price 3, okay, at price 3, the US is just encouraged to export this amount only, the blue amount only. All right, at P2, okay, as the price increases, the US are encouraged to just supply or add more, okay, commodities to the US. They are just exporting. The other, as the price increases to P1, that means US are just encouraged to just supply more and more to the other countries' market. Okay, so the export supply curve gives the quantities the US would be willing to just export if it faced, okay, price above its outer key prices. Okay, above. Okay, these prices are just prices that the US are just encouraged to export. So in Mexico, as price below its outer key price, there is excess demand for wheat since demand exceeds supply. If we consider, okay, the point is the demand is now exceeding the supply. Okay, if we consider price either at or below the outer key price, we can drive an import demand curve for Mexico. The equation for import demand is just given by Mexican is that, okay, import demand, okay, sorry, import demand of Mexican times price of a Mexican, okay, is equal to demand at Mexican with its price minus supply at Mexican at its price. Okay, the excess, this is the demand, the excess demand as the supply, which seeks imports, okay, which needs imports, which are just looking for another imports because the demand is now what? Excess. So graphically as well as, okay, let's see here. Okay, this is the previous equilibrium of, okay, demand and supply in Mexico. Okay, the demand of Mexico and the demand of the supply of Mexico. Here is a Mexican at outer key, or the balance within the demand. Okay, at demand and supply is equivalent, that is a price at outer key or within the local country. But look, the difference between demand and supply curve at every price and and below the outer key price has shown in the adjoining at the outer key price. So import demand is 0 at this time. The import demand is 0. So at price P blue, okay, the price is very low. Okay, P3 is very low. So since the price is low, okay, the more demand is encouraged, okay, in Mexicans, okay, when you just subtract, okay, supply from demands, okay, because of less price, Mexicans are encouraged to demand more. At price 2, a little bit, the price is just increased to the red points, all right. At this time, some, okay, demand is just dropping, and still there is a demand level, all right. As the price increases to P1 here, okay, now demand is now declining, okay. As the price becomes at autarky level, it is zero, okay? No more demands. So if we take this with this demand curve, okay, at P1, okay, look, the imported amount is just very minimal because of the price. As the price decline, okay, they are encouraged, okay, to the red points. Some more demand is just encouraged. At third point, some more, okay, demand is just encouraged because the price is just very low than the autarky or the local price, okay? So this encourages to just import, okay? Here is a point. So the intersection of the US here, okay, export supply with Mexican import demand determines the equilibrium free trade prices, okay? That is PFT, okay? How can we get this PFT? Okay, free trade, okay, the price of free trade. That means where both countries are just, okay, their demand of the Mexico and where the supply of the US are just equal, okay? That is the intersection point, okay? This is the Mexican price autarky or the local price, then declines to the midpoint. Here, as we have already said before, the autarky or the local demand, the local price of US is very low than Mexicans. But to just exchange a commodity, to just make a trade, okay, there must be a point of intersection, okay, that encourages both countries to just supply by the US as well as to demand by the, okay, Mexicans, okay. So to see this algebraically, okay, export of US PFT functionally must equal to, okay, import to demand of Mexicans with price at FT, free trade, all right, mathematically. So here makes them, okay, they can just agree and make a free trade between two countries. So under perfect competition, okay, just what I'm reminding you that under perfect competition. This implies also that world supply is equal to world demand, since, okay, the supply of US, okay, times P at free trade minus the demand of US PFT is equal to, look, the demand of Mexican at free trade minus, okay, the supply of Mexican at, okay, the free trade price equal, okay, with the subtraction, okay, we can just mathematically put like this. And also similarly, mathematically, you can just put in a summation forms, okay, the supply of US, all right, with a price at FT plus the supply of Mexicans with PFT is equal to the demand of US PFT plus the demand of Mexican at its price of free trade. All right, then you can apply this to the rest of the world, or even you can take it in a complex, okay, situation. So what about in a small country case? Okay, the small country assumption means that sorry, assumption means that the country's imports are just very small share of the world market, okay? Their share is just very minimal, so small, that even a complete elimination of import would have an unnoticeable effect upon world demand for the product. Thus, would not affect the world price. They cannot affect whether their local policy are changed or not, whether they are just increasing their, okay, price or declining it, or whether they are just putting a tariff or not, whether they are just levy a tax or not, whatever, they cannot affect the world price because their contribution is very low. So graphically, to depict the price effect of the tariff using an exporting supply, okay, here, depicting a free trade equilibrium in small country cases. So to depict the price effect of a tariff using the export supply or import demand diagram as a side. We must retrieve the exporters, okay, supply curve in light of just small country assumptions, okay. The assumption implies that the export supply curve is horizontal at the level of the world price, okay, price for free trade here, okay, it's horizontal. So the US export level is at free trade. Then the quantity demanded, okay, at free trade is where the intersection of the demand of the Mexicans, okay. So the assumption implies that the export supply curve is just horizontal at the level of the world price. From the perspective of a small importing country, it takes the world price as exogenous since it can have no effect upon it. There is no effect, there is no impact, okay. Whatever the change at a local tariff or price are just doing, it cannot have, okay, an impact generally. From the exporter's perspective, it is willing to supply, okay, as much of the product as the importer wants us to the given world price. So when the tariff is just placed on import, okay, imposed, two conditions must hold in the final equilibrium. The same two conditions as a large country case, okay. So price with tariff, okay, with Mexico is equal to price added tariff to US, okay, plus tariff, okay, if the country importing adds a kind of tariff on the imported items. Exported supply of US with tariffed price, okay, is equal to demanded, okay, import demand of Mexicans with tariffed prices, okay. So now put PTUS remains as a free trade price. This implies that a small country case, the price of the import good in the importing country will rise by the amount of the tariff, as seen in the adjoining diagram. The higher domestic price reduces import demand and export supply of the quantity or Q of T. So the third point here is, okay, the welfare effect of trade policies, okay, then partial equilibrium. We'll see with partial equilibrium. A partial equilibrium analysis distinguishes between the welfare of consumers who purchase a product and the producers who produce it. All right, then it is just between, okay, as a producer and the purchaser or the consumer, those who are just demanding. Consumer welfare is measured using consumer surplus. Why surplus? Why producer welfare is measured using producer surplus? Okay, we'll see the welfare, okay, with reference to the consumers as well as producers surplus. So we'll see what surplus is. Revenue collected by the government is assumed to be redistributed to others. That's welfare, okay? They are just collecting a revenue from a tariff or other taxes, different, since there are different taxes. They are just redistributed to other activities within the countries, okay? Government revenue is either spent on public goods or redistributed to someone in the economy differently, okay? It could be in kind or in monetary ways. In any case, it is just redistributed within the economy. Thus raises the welfare of somebody, okay? That is the effect. They are just collecting, okay, through tariff, tax, or whatever. They are just redistributing in different ways. So welfare of somebody will be raised. So what does consumer surplus mean in this regard? Then consumer surplus is used to just measure the welfare of a group of consumers who purchase a particular product at a particular prices. Consumer surplus is defined as the difference between what consumers are willing to pay for a unit of a good and the amount the consumer actually do pay. Okay, willing to pay and actually, okay, the difference between the actually paid and the willingness to pay. That's the consumer surplus for the product, okay? Willingness to pay can be just read of a market demand curve of a product. So let's see this, okay? Here, you see, suppose that only one of the goods is available in a market, as shown in the adjoining diagram. So that first unit be just hold as the price 1, okay? P is just, okay, P indicates, okay, it is where the supply and demand intersects, okay? So at this point, this is the price at equilibrium, okay? This place is the price at equilibrium. Then the first unit could just be sold at a price P1, okay? Price P1 is just is a high price, okay? P1 is the high price, okay? So at this point, sold at price P1. In other words, there is a consumer in the market who would be willing to pay. It's not an actual pay, okay? Willing to pay at P1, okay? Why? Because he has a higher desire, okay? Or else he has high income. Because of that, he is able to afford at P1. Then the amounts will be, okay, unit 1 or Q1, all right? So to sell 2 units of a good at 2 points, okay, a good, okay, would have to be just lower prices, okay? Now the price is just declining from P1 to P2. At this point, okay, here, there are also another, okay? This assumption is that the firm cannot perfectly price discriminate and charge 2 separate prices to just 2 customers, okay? A slightly lower price might induce some other customers to purchase the product, or might induce even the first customer. He might be encouraged to just purchase at that point because of just the minimal decline of the price at P2, all right? So the third point, to just buy, okay, the quantity at 3 or Q3, 3 units, okay, of a good could be just sold if the price is just lower to P3, okay, at the blue pointers, okay, at these pointers. And then the area representing consumer surplus is just measured now in dollars, okay? So consumer surplus first, then the yellow shaded, the consumer surplus second, the second shade, and consumer surplus third. So we can find that if we draw, okay, a triangle in red, you can find this. This is what we call is a consumer surplus. A consumer surplus, okay, which is above the equilibrium prices. Now, suppose, okay, the supply of goods rise, okay, representing as a highlight shift, okay, the demand is now, okay, shifting, okay, the supply is now shifting, okay, the first supply was here, and the second supply was just shifted from here. This is the supply curve, the first one, and then shifted to here, all right? So the black labeled, okay? So from S to S prime in the adjoining diagram, as the original price P1, consumers surplus is given by the blue area, so that P1 price line and the demand curve, we can just see between that, the blue line, you can find that, okay? This increased supply lowers the market price into P2, okay? As the supply increases, naturally, okay, the price becomes declining, okay, from P2, okay, here, P2, all right? So the yellow shaded, okay, the sum of the yellow shaded, okay, to the sum of the blue with okay. So the change in consumer surplus CS, that is the yellow shaded, is given by a yellow area in figure, okay. So that is A plus B, okay, in small letter. Note that the change in consumer surplus is demanded as the area between the price that prevails before the price that prevails after the demand curve, okay. In this case, consumer surplus rises because the price falls. Two groups of a consumer are now affected, okay. Consumers who would have purchased, okay, the product even at higher price at P1 now receives more surpluses, okay. That means P1 minus P2 for each unit of products. The extra benefit are just now represented by rectangular area of the diagram, the yellow shade. Also, there are additional consumers who are just willing, okay, the other one, who are unwilling to purchase the product at P1, all right, but are now willing to purchase as price P2 because the price is now what? Just declining. The consumer surplus is just given by a triangular area that is B, okay. Those who are unwilling to pay can just pay at B now, okay. That is their surplus. On the other hand, let's see the producer's surplus, okay. That means it's just used to just measure the welfare of a group of firm who sell a particular product at a particular price, okay. Producer surplus is just defined as a difference between what producers actually receives when selling a product and the amount they would be willing to accept, okay, their wishes for a unit to just for the unit of a goods they are going to sell. Firms' willingness to accept payments can be, okay, read off to a market supply curve, okay, for a product. To see it just graphically, as shown in the adjoining graph, okay, as a side graph, some firms will be willing to accept the price P1, okay, at P1, okay, if only one unit is just produced, okay, because they are not encouraged because the price is very low price. So they are just producing less amount. There must be, okay, a willing producer at this point, okay, even if the price is just lower, they wanted to sell their products from the stock. If 2 units of goods were demanded in a market, then the minimum price to induce 2 units be supplied, okay. Now a little bit, the price is just raised to P2. At this time, some producers might be encouraged, and then with the price surplus, okay, PS2, they can also just supply. So a slightly higher price would induce another firms to supply an additional unit of goods, okay, as the price also increases now to P3, okay. Some other producers are just, okay, encouraged to produce some amount of quantity to just supply to the market, okay. These 3 units Three units of a good will be made available in a price where raises to P3 etc. So we can just see that this blue triangular shade is a producer's surplus in a market. So let us see, okay, interpreting of producer surplus. The total producer surplus in the market is given by the sum of the areas of the rectangle, okay. Thus, total producer surplus can just reasonably be measured as the area between the supply curve and the horizontal line, drawn as the equilibrium market price. This is shown as a yellow triangle of the diagram. The area representing a producer surplus is measured in dollars. Okay, here it is the total fixed cost plus the profit. The other is total variable cost. All right, here, but the producer's surplus is, okay, the yellow shaded triangular part. Then producer surplus can be just interpreted as the amount of revenue allocated to fixed cost and profit in the industry. Okay, what I've already said. The area under the supply curve at an output level such as Q represents, okay, the total variable cost to the industry and is shown as a blue shaded area of the diagram. So what if we shift the demand on a supply curve? Okay, what would happen? Suppose the demand for a good rises represents as a rightward shift, okay, from D to D prime in the side diagram, okay, here. Then the change in producer surplus is given by a blue shaded, okay, blue area in the figure. So between the two prices and the supply curve. Note that the change in producer surplus is just determined as the area between the price that prevails before, the price that prevails after, and the supply curves. Okay. Thus, in this case, producer surplus rises because the price increase and output rises. The increase in price and the output rises, the return, okay, to fixed costs and the profitability of firms in the industry. Okay, the increase in output also requires an increase in variable factors of production such as labor. Thus, one additional benefit to firms not measured by the increase in producer surplus is an increase in an industry employment. Okay, so it has an impact on the industry. Okay, so to produce an additional benefit to the firm, they have to just bring, okay, an item of variable cost, that is a labor cost, okay, to the organization. So this is the effect of what you have seen is the consumer surplus as well as the producer surplus within the market. The tariff effect of price in a large country case. Okay, how tariff can affect. Let's see the Mexico and the US case. Suppose Mexico, the importing country in free trade, imposes a specific tariff on import of the wheat. Okay, you see, they impose now a tariff as a tax on importers. The tariff will inhibit the flow of wheat across the border. Now you know this tariff is just inhibiting, okay, the exporting activity of the US while they are just crossing the jurisdiction, okay, the borderline. It will now cost more to just move the products from the US into Mexico. As a result, the supply of wheat to the Mexican market will fall, inducing an increase in price of wheat. Okay, since wheat is homogeneous and the market is perfectly competitive, the price of all wheat sold in Mexico, both Mexican wheat and US import, will rise in price. The higher the price will reduce the Mexicans' import demand because of the addition of tariff, okay, on the importing prices. Okay, it induces to reduces the demand. Okay, it discourages the amount of, okay, demand within the Mexico. For this reason, countries that is a large import is said to be, okay, monopsony power in trade. Okay, if they have an impact on the imports, okay, by just imposing tax or tariff or whatever, okay? And if they have the capability to change the price, okay, then we can say that they have monopsony power. What does monopsony power means? Monopsony power is just a single buyer when there exists a single buyer in a market, okay, of a product, okay? We can say monopoly when a single seller in a market. Now, where in the other side, if there is, okay, a single buyer, we can say that monopsony. Now, there is a monopsony role in a market of, okay, Mexicans. So the monopsonist can again an advantage for itself by just reducing its demand for a product in order to just induce reduction in the prices, okay? They can have, okay, to just do this. In a similar way, a country with monopsony power can reduce its demand for importers by just setting a tariff to lower the price it pays for the imported products, okay? To just put a pressure, okay, on the exporters country. So a new tariff reading equilibrium will be just reached when the flow of two conditions are just satisfied, okay? The price of Mexican, okay, the price with tariff is equal to the price of US with the imposed tariff plus, okay, the new tariff, okay, by Mexicans. Then the US exports price of a US tariff is equal to the imported demand of Mexicans with price T at Mexicans, okay? T indicates the tariff, where T is just a tariff, okay, as the price in Mexico after a tariff, and PTUS is a price in the US after a tariff, okay? So we can say the price, okay, after tariff. To see this diagrammatically, okay, the tariff equilibrium is depicted graphically on the adjoining graph, okay? The Mexican price of, okay, wheat at PTMX rises from PFT to which reduces its import diagram from QET to just QFT to QET, okay? That means in diagram, okay, look at, this is a price at free trade without, okay, without tariff, or export of US before, and import demand of Mexican. So the equilibrium was with free trade, with no additional tariff, okay? As the Mexico added a tariff, look, a tariff, then the price in Mexico just increases, okay? Just increases. Then the price of the US exports wheat also declines, okay? This gives the bigger tariff, okay, within the shaded. So the impact is that at a free trade, the quantity supplied by the, okay, free trade of the US also declines to, okay, the quantity tariffed, okay, the quantity, because the US might decline the price or else decline the quantity. The US price of wheat falls from P of FT to, okay, sorry.
በትምህርት ከፍ ብሎ መብረር ይቻላል። ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ ከከፍተኛ ትምህርት አግባብነትና ጥራት ኤጀንሲ ሙሉ ዕውቅናን ባገኘንባቸው በማስተርስ ዲግሪ MBA በስትራቴጂክ ማኔጅመንት፣ MBA በባንኪንግ እና ፋይናንስ፣ MBA በቢዝነስ ሊደርሺፕ፣ MBA በሪስክና ኢንሹራንስ፣ MSc በኢንተርናሽናል ትሬድ እና ኢኮኖሚክስ ዘርፎች በእውቀት ለመቅረጽ የበቁ ፕሮፌሰሮቻችን አረንጓዴ መብራታቸውን አብርተዋል። በነገራችን ላይ በኬንያ ሀገር ከሚገኙ ስመጥር ዩኒቨርሲቲዎች በሚመጡ ፕሮፌሰሮች የትኩረት መስክ ትምህርቶቹ መሰጠታቸው ልዩ ያደርገናል። በምርጥ የትምህርት ስርዓት የተገነባው ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ በመጀመሪያ ዲግሪ በአቪዬሽን ማኔጅመንት፣ በሆቴል ማኔጅመንት፣ በአካውንቲንግና ፋይናንስ፣ በማርኬቲንግ ማኔጅመንት አስተማማኝ ትምህርት ይገቢውና ራስዎንና ሀገሮን ይለውጡ። አድራሻ 22 አደባባይ ወደ ሾላ በሚወስደው መንገድ ላይ ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ ህልሞን እውን ያደርጋል።
Tariff of US, okay, which reduces the export supply, okay, also from QFT to QT. That means the quantity from QFT to QT, okay. The difference in the price between the two markets is equal to the specific tariff, that is T, okay. It brings the tariff within the market. At the extreme, if the tariff were set equal to the difference in the outer key prices, that is tariff, the price of Mexican at outer key minus price of US at outer key, we can find T, okay, the red shaded rectangle we have seen in the diagram before. Then the quantity traded will fall to 0 at this time, okay. In other words, the tariff would inhibit trade, okay. It has the capacity or it has the characteristics to inhibit trade, okay. Indeed, any tariff set greater than or equal to the difference in outer key prices will eliminate the trade and cause the countries to just reverse the outer key in the market. Thus, we define that a prohibitive tariff as any tariff. That means T-pro, that means tariff prohibited, such that T-pro is greater than P max and out minus PUS out. That means tariff prohibited is greater or equal to the price of Mexican outer key minus the price of US outer key. Thus, price of free trade is at equilibrium price. At that price, the excess demand by the importing country equals excess supply by the exporters. The country of imports and exports is shown as the blue, okay, in the diagram line segment on each country's graph, okay. That is a horizontal distance between the supply and demand curve, okay, as a free trade prices. In the diagram, okay, welfare effect of tariff in large country cases, okay, what we are just looking here as a side of the PowerPoint, okay. So when a large importing country implements a tariff, it will cause an increase in the price of a good on domestic markets, okay, for the rest of the world. Suppose that after the tariff, the price in the importing country rises to just PTIM, okay, price of tariff in importing, and the price of exporting country falls into PTEX, okay. Look, here, the price of free trade in both countries, importing country as well as exporting country, the blue lines are as the same, okay, under PFT. But after tariff, it raises to, okay, to PTM, okay, within the just importing country, and fall for the exporting country to here, the red lines. If the tariff is just a specific tax, then the tariff rate would be, okay, T is equal to P importing tariff minus P exporting tariff, equal to the length of green, okay, the distance, okay, between, okay, this price of importing as well as price of exporting, that is the green line, okay. Segment in the diagram. If the tariff were an ad valorem tax, okay, we'll see next PowerPoint, next chapter, what an ad valorem tax is. Then the tariff rate will be given by T is equal to, okay, PT of importing, PT of exporting minus 1, mathematically, okay, we can see that. So we can see the effects, the impacts in an importing country and exporting country. In an importing country, consumer surplus is just declining. This negative is just, okay, it is just negatively affected. Positive is just positively affected, okay. So consumer surplus, that means A, B plus C in importing country, A, B plus just C, D, okay? This area is just affected. The producer surplus, that is only A, okay, the capital A, okay, is affecting exporting countries. On the other side, okay, E, F, G, H can be, okay, negatively affected. Government revenue, they are just, for importing country, maybe they are just gaining, okay, it shows positive. Okay, for exporting country, it's just, okay, 0. The national welfare is just G minus B plus D, okay. On the other side, in the exporting country, it shows this one. And the world welfare also shows, okay, negative. So, to conclude that, whenever a large country implements a small tariff, it will just raise national welfare, okay? It raises national welfare. If the tariff is set too high, national welfare will fall. We'll see in the diagrammatically next. The third point is there will be a positive optimal tariff that will maximize national welfare too, okay? So these are the pointers, okay? We'll see these pointers diagrammatically, okay? So the tariff effect on importing countries, importing country consumers, okay? Consumers of the product in the importing country suffers a reduction of well-being, okay? Importing country producers. Producers in the importing country experiences an increase in well-being as a result of tariffs. Okay, the point. Importing country government. The government receives tariff revenue as a result of the tariff. So who benefits from the revenue depending on how the government spend it. Okay, actually it shows positive, what we have seen in the table. Okay, so the government is just typically, okay, the revenue is just increasing. Importing country, the aggregate welfare effects for the country is found by just summing the gains and losses to consumers, producers, and the governments. The net effect consists of 3 components: a positive term trade effect at G in the table, in the diagram, okay, a negative production distribution at B, and a negative consumption distribution at D. Refers to a table in the figure, okay, to see how the magnitude of the change in national welfare is just represented. For exporting countries, the effect, the tariff effect, the impact on exporting country consumers. Consumers of the product in the exporting country experiences an increase in well-being as a result of the tariff. Okay, the decrease in their domestic price raises the amount of consumer surplus in the market. Refers to a table in the figure. Okay. So we will around here just the tariff effects on, okay, expecting exporting countries. So even it has an impact on world welfare too. So the effect on just world welfare is just found summing the national welfare effects in the importing and exporting countries in general. So let's start the fixed point, that is the optimal tariff. So economists have just studied the condition under which the tariff will be welfare improving in the variety of just perfectly competitive model. Okay, at this time we will see the optimal tariff, the optimum level. Okay, to what extent those importing and exporting countries are just moving. Okay, from this point of view, that thus, by just looking the side graph, the level of consumers surplus, okay, CS, okay, which one is this one? Okay, consumer surplus, the yellow color, and the producer surplus with red color on the diagram, and the tariff revenue, the tariff just given, okay, at blue level, okay. The origin corresponds to the zero tariff rate or free trade, okay. So the 0 is a free tariff, okay? Just the rate starts from 0, then moving upward, then slightly just inclined okay, to the prohibitive tariff point, TP, okay? So here is the prohibitive tariff, okay? So this shows that by the solid declining green CSS, okay? That is the consumer surplus status, okay, from just green and declining slowly. So the price settling at the outer key price and just any further increase in the tariff have no effect upon consumer surplus. Hence, the consumer surplus line becomes flat above TP, okay? That is the prohibited tariff, okay? From this onward, it is just becoming flatter. So, producer surplus, the red dotted line, okay, rises as the tariff is just increased from zero, okay, what I've already said before. And then the tariff revenue, okay, the tariff revenue is just the blue dotted, the broken lines, okay, the dashed lines are just the blue dashed line. First increases with the increase in the tariff and then decreases for higher tariff rate, okay. As a higher tariff rate, this is the higher tariff rate, okay. At this point, it is just increasing with increasing rate. From here, then increasing with the decreasing rate. Finally, at the maximum point, it declines, all right? It's just decreasing. Another way to see that tariff revenue must rise, then fall with just increasing tariff, is note that when the tariff rate is just zero, okay? Also, when the tariff rate is at or above TP, the prohibitive tariff, okay, importers are now zero. Thus, whatever the tariff rate, tariff revenue gains must be zero, somewhere between zero tariff and the prohibited tariff, okay? So revenue has just to be a positive. Thus, the tariff revenue must rise, okay, from zero and then fall back to zero, okay? That it makes a curve, okay, when it reaches to TP. So let's see this diagrammatically, okay? Sorry. The national welfare level at each tariff rate is just defined as the sum of consumer surplus, producer surplus, and tariff revenue, okay? The vertical summation of these three curves generates the national welfare. That's the point, okay? Given by a thick solid blue-green, okay? The national welfare here, okay? The above curved line as a top. The basic share of national welfare line is reviewn in the next diagram. Note that national welfare first rises, then falls, okay? As the tariff is just increased from zero, okay? From one tariff, okay, rate, that is the optimum tariff, okay? T-opt. The country can just realize the highest level of, okay, national welfare, one that is higher than, okay, that achievable in free trade. We call that tariff trade as optimal tariff, okay? Now let's see in just simple one diagram. The national welfare will fall, okay? First, okay, the national welfare at free trade, okay, the national welfare at optimum level, the national welfare at, okay, outer key level, okay? Eventually, at even higher tariff rates, national welfare will fall below the free trade level. The diagram, this occurs that at tariff rates greater than T or TC, okay? Here, look, at TC, it's just increased, okay? Here, from free trade, the national welfare is just increasing here and increasing and increasing. At T optimal, it is the optimum level. To just TB, it is just declining. Still, it is above, okay, free trade of national. At C, it becomes now again equal to, okay, national welfare, free trade. After that, it declines at outer key level. It becomes, okay, just flatter at TP, okay, the prohibitive, okay, tariff. Above this, it is prohibited. Then it becomes flatter. at a sufficiently high tariff, import will be just eliminated entirely. The tariff will prohibit trade at the end, all right? So if the country is large in international market, then the analysis above suggests that the effect on optimal welfare will depend on the value of the original tariff rate and liberalized tariff, okay? If the tariff is just reduced from T0 to TA, then the national welfare will fall, okay? The trade liberalization is not necessarily welfare improving to conclude, okay? This is the end of the chapter for today.
ልዩነት መፍጠር ዓላማችን ነው። ዓለም አቀፍ ተወዳዳሪ መሆን አለባችሁ። የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ ጥራትና ደረጃውን የጠበቀ ስልጠና በመስጠት ብቁ ዜጋ እያፈራን ነው። በፍላይት ኦፕሬሽን፣ በበረራ መስተንግዶ፣ በቲኬቲንግና ሪዘርቬሽን፣ በሆቴልና ቱሪዝም ሙያዎች አሰልጥነን ተወዳዳሪ እናደርጎታለን። ኮሌጃችን ካናዳ ከሚገኘው ኢንተርናሽናል ኤር ትራንስፖርት አሶሲዬሽን አያታና ከእንግሊዙ ICM ጋር በመተባበር ዓለም አቀፍ ዕውቅና ያለው ስልጠና እየሰጠ ይገኛል። በፍላይት ኦፕሬሽን በበረራ መስተንግዶ የምንሰጣቸው ስልጠና ከኢትዮጵያ ሲቪል አቪዬሽን ባለስልጣን ሙሉ ዕውቅና አለው። አድራሻ ከጎላጉል ታወር 22 አደባባይ ወደ ሾላ በሚወስደው መንገድ ላይ የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ ህልሞን እውን ያድርጉ።